WNBAtalk995.com. Appreciate you tuning in, hanging out with us on this lovely Tuesday. Not going to be quite as warm as yesterday. Looking at about 93 for a high, but the heat index will be, again, in the hundreds. So it is going to be steamy, but it ain't going to be no 99 like it was yesterday. Truck actually showed me 99 degrees on my thermometer.
Oh, that's brutal.
Yeah, it was
absolutely brutal.
A little warm yesterday.
I got my little sunscreen in the little shade for the window.
I leave it up while I'm driving.
It helps a little bit.
Yeah, if I put it up there while I'm driving, it actually keeps the heat out.
Put 2 little holes in it so you
No,
can,
who needs that? I don't worry about that. That's
just driving blind.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That works well.
Stick your head out the window like a dog.
Everybody else will get out of your way. You're fine.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
This is their problem, not mine. And we're looking at more of the same tomorrow, and maybe rain on Thursday,
Friday.
Maybe
the rain chances go up a little bit, but it's not great.
No.
Yeah.
It really is. We got some last night. I got some in my house.
Yeah, parts of Birmingham and northward really got it. Jasper and
came through between 11 and 1.
Oof.
And put me right back to sleep. It was nice.
I got 0. South
sorry
of town got 0. Pretty much.
Such is life.
Well, it happens.
A lot of stuff to talk about today. Jared Kushner meeting with Hamas, actually met face-to-face with Hamas, and came out, got asked, how do you think things are going over there, and what do you think the deal is? And he said, well, you're dealing with people you can't trust. So
absolutely.
It's like right off the bat, he's like, doesn't really matter what they say. We can't believe them. And that is kind of a problem. It's difficult to negotiate with people who are just going to look you in the eye and lie and feel good about that.
Well, too, the religion, they're going to fight to the bitter end, to the death. That's really what it is. So I don't know how really, you can give it your best effort to negotiate, but it hasn't worked in a very long time. I don't think it's ever worked.
Netanyahu has made a very bold statement here that's not incorrect. He says we're not leaving Gaza until they're disarmed. And I don't mean a little disarmed. I mean completely disarmed. I want their big weapons gone. I want their small weapons gone. All their weapons should be gone. And good luck with that. You got to look under every hospital, every daycare, every school, or the rubble, there remaining thereof, of those things in Gaza to make sure you get every cache of weapons that they have, because they're sneaky SOBs.
Yep.
So
they're sneaky, and they'll be dealing with it, next week and the week after if they don't continue to hammer down and say we're not leaving until you're completely gone. You're out of Gaza. We're not playing with this anymore.
We will
you need to be out
when you get all them weapons out of there. A couple of WNBA fans. This was a story that was talked about yesterday that we somehow missed. We had a lot of stuff to talk about. A couple of WNBA fans. First off, I'm shocked. There's such a thing as WNBA fans. They showed up at the State Farm Arena in Atlanta, and they had the XXXY shirts on. There's a company that's making these things, churning them out pretty rapidly, and people are getting into it and buying them. And these people showed up, and security said, "You got to cover that up."
I think it's a mother-daughter.
Can't have that in there. It's offensive. The WNBA came back and said, that was a bad idea. We shouldn't have done that. Our security should not have done that. That was wrong. Yeah, of course that's wrong. All we're doing is maintaining and continuing the idiocy of this debate. And it's funny when you look, especially at places like the WNBA, and you roll these things out to their extremes. When you take the thing and you take it to its natural resolution, which is you're going to have biological men in your organization playing against women, and eventually these women won't play at all because there's no point, because the men are going to be so much better than they are. They're just going to stop playing. And then you no longer have a WNBA. Like,
take away the W. There's no point in it.
This is not rocket science.
No.
This is not something that should be difficult to understand. But they want so desperately to be woke, and they want so desperately to be on what they consider to be the right side of this, and be pro-trans.
I mean, look at, there's some other sports, tennis, one of them, where they said, no, we're not going to do this. We've seen it in other sports as well, and I'm glad that some women are speaking up in some of these sports, going no. And basketball, it's just shocking that basketball won't do this. You got a W by the NBA name.
Yep.
It's right there. It's women, and here we go again, consistently talking about take away the W, because this will just be a minor league men's basketball league is what it'll end up being. So there's no need for women to play basketball once you allow men to come in, and all you have to do is say that you feel like a woman. That
That's it. I think I'm a woman. I feel like a woman.
And I
So
want to play women's
I wanna play
basketball.
women's basketball.
So you've got an entire league. I mean, you know,
And people say, "Oh,
you can have the guys
people
that do pickup games to go apply to be a part of the WNBA and make it.
Sure, absolutely."
So we're done.
Mm.
I mean, close the doors, turn off the lights. There's no more WNBA if that's allowed.
The LPGA is not quite there yet, but they are closing in on it, and they did have to boot a biological male out of a couple of tournaments and discount previous scores of his because despite the fact that he wears a skirt and he grew his hair out, he's still a guy.
I'm just saying, where's the shame in
He's
this?
hitting off the
Really,
ladies' tees.
you're not. Some of you aren't even transitioning. Some of you are not
Mm-hmm.
a woman. You're just trying to figure out a way to ease into women's sports. But good gracious, who thought we would ever be? We'd be hearing and seeing this. We'd be like, hey, dude, no, you're not. You're not playing in women's sports, whether it's golf, whether it's basketball. There's an entire men's league. That's where you're going to play. I mean, God, this is – I just never in my life did I ever think we'd be sitting here talking about it. Still, I thought, okay, this will resolve itself very, very quickly. But the women's basketball thing is not – this isn't going away.
No, but it's kind of a psyop if you think about it. It's kind of a if we can get people to call men women, if we can get people to say, yeah, that dude, despite the fact that he's biologically XY and still has all the male parts, he's a woman, then we can get them to say almost anything.
It's exactly right.
Yeah, we can
it's
get
the
them-
definition of crazy.
Yeah, we can get them to mentally accept just about anything, like, hey, we don't need prisons. Hey, we don't need a border. Hey, we should just let anybody in who wants to come in.
It's exactly what they're doing. This is exactly a part of the plan. And that's why they're fighting back so hard on this.
Yeah. They continue to push because well, look, there are useful idiots out there who are like, but what about the poor trans kids? And we really care about them.
Okay, we can care about them. They're just not going to play in women's sports.
0.6%, guys. You got to
And that's the one thing you're not going to be able to do. You can live your life the way that you want to live it and go through the surgeries that you want to go through and go to school and get yourself a job and have a wonderful life, but you're not playing women's sports.
Yep. Just that simple. Penn State, big cocaine bust, 14 arrests.
Massive this was. Oh, I cannot believe that this. Well, I'm not really shocked. Are you about this? Do you not think that there are drugs floating around fraternities across this country? That this isn't the only. I mean, this was kind of a massive operation that was going on. But there's some dibbling and dabbling around, and you got to know that a little of this is going on. But maybe it's a wake-up call to other fraternities around the country. You might not want to do this.
This might have kept me in school a little longer. If,
might have helped you with some classes.
it's only there for the
and some
1 year,
grades.
but if I joined the right fraternity, I
Yikes.
could have made a career out of it. Who knows?
Yeah.
There was an awful lot of cocaine. The couple of guys were making runs to Philadelphia and picking up rather large amounts. And this was, by the way, in 23 and 24. It's just now coming to light, and just now are they beginning to
And some students,
charge
some of these guys are still in school there.
Yeah.
That's part of it. It's Sigma Chi and Delta Epsilon that are the two fraternities, and a dad, one of the fathers of one of these guys, was trying to help cover it up. So now he's been arrested. He's part of the 14. Yikes! Not smart, Dad.
And part of the, I guess, I don't know, you'd call it fraternity hazing, would be to, get your pledges to cut and package the cocaine inside the frat houses off campus and distribute it to Penn State students. Good
That's
Lord, man.
awful. That is just terrible. Yeah, this is part of their
If you want to be part of this fraternity,
rush. As you rush the fraternity, you're
Yes.
like, this is what you're going to do. What?
we're going to
I don't know
turn you
about that.
into a drug mule. Congratulations. This is all that whole drinking till you puke nonsense.
Don't worry about that. That's nothing. And the
small fry.
ringleader in all this 24-year-old, apparently is on the run. He's from New
Business
York.
major.
Yeah, from New York and remains at large. They need to find this guy because he's
I,
the one that started this whole thing.
I suspect they will track him down.
Yeah.
They will get him at some point.
Or he's out of the country.
It
One of
could
the
be,
two.
yeah.
With a name like his, you're like, well, you could be in Mexico.
He might very well be. Mr. Bugs knows what bugs you, and that would be insects coming into your home. And that's why they stop them. They stop them. They kill the ones on the inside, and they keep the ones on the outside. They use all the right proper chemicals and juices and things, safe for bugs, safe for bugs. No, they're not safe for bugs. It's deadly for bugs. Safe for kids, safe for pets, bad for bugs. That's Mr. Bugs. And, different parts of town, different kind of chemicals, different kinds of bugs. And they know exactly what to use and where to use it and when to use it. And they're about as good as anybody's ever been at this. They certainly are the best pest control company I've ever used. Mr. Bugs, MRBUGGS.com, MrBugs.com. They know what bugs you. 941-6252. Ask about mosquito reduction. It is a lifesaver, and there's a whole lot more mosquito season to go here in the state of Alabama. You will thank me for it later. MRBUGGS.com, 941-6252. Mr. Bugs to you. Keith Urban does a really good version of this, 621 Dixon inviting Talk 99.5, talk995.com. Thanks for hanging out with us. Don't forget to download our app so you can listen to us everywhere, all the time. And I mean all the time. 24 hours, 7 days a week. You should never turn us off. I mean that.
7 days a week?
Uh-huh.
Never turn us off?
Never turn us off.
Ever, ever, ever?
Not even once. Rodney's Marine is, of course, on Highway 231 in beautiful Cropwell, and they have got the Suzuki-powered Silverwave and Starcraft pontoons and Tritoons. These things are beautiful, brand new, still got the new boat smell. Obviously, Savannah Center consoles as well with that Suzuki power with a 5-year warranty, in-house financing, low monthly payments, and a company that is going to treat you so well that they'll ruin you for other boat manufacturers, boat sellers. I'll tell you what. Boat dealerships are, a lot of times it's like, there you go, here, hook it up, bye, and you're done.
Good luck.
Not how Rodney's Marine does it.
Not at all. That's why they're one of the largest Starcraft and Suzuki dealers in the state of Alabama, with 15 years in business and over 100 years of experience with the staff that is out at Rodney's Marine. We personally know Rodney, and that's why we're telling you to go see Rodney when it's time to buy a boat, because you really don't want to buy it from anybody else. He's got a great selection. He's going to help you out with any accessories that maybe you want for the boat. Maybe it's something that you can do yourself, or if you need Rodney's help, he's right there with you, whatever you need for the boat. And here's the nice part. He's on Lake Logan Martin, but you could be on Smith Lake or Lake Martin or any of the other lakes across central Alabama, because we've got so many, and he'll deliver that boat to you. Where are you? He'll bring it to you here in central Alabama. Just give him a call today. Maybe take a look at his website, see what he's got there, and then when you get a minute, go visit him. As Richard said, out on Highway 231 in Cropwell, 525-1500 is the number. You want to rent a boat? Think about it. Call him. Let him ask him what he's got available in the coming weekend or weekends. You got a birthday or a celebration coming up. You want to go out on a boat? You can rent one. They're beautiful. Rodney's Marine Facebook and their website, rodneysmarine.com.
And now, it's Dixon and Vining's top 3 things you need to know.
Well, I've done a brief survey, and virtually every single story about what's going on between the United States and Iran includes the end of the Memorandum of Understanding. Oh, this is over now, the 60-day ceasefire. You mean the 60-day ceasefire during which the United States bombed the snot out of Iran for 14 straight days? Is that what you're talking about? What is, our news organizations just lazy or what? The Memorandum of Understanding blew up 2 weeks into it, and you may as well have just taken the piece of paper and set fire to it.
Yeah, you could have easily.
Because
that wasn't worth anything.
No, and the fact that they're even talking about it as if it was still something that was in play until yesterday is absurd. What's going on right now is Donald Trump is using some back channels for peace talks with the IRGC, who you really do have to be talking to, because the government of Iran seems to be useless. They're figureheads. They're nothing. The IRGC is the ones who then turn around and throw bombs at ships in the Strait of Hormuz. So the government can tell you one thing, and then the IRGC goes and does something else, and the government says, hey, don't blame us. That's those guys over there. So this is why it's really so difficult to find any sort of peaceful settlement with these two. But if you can get in front of the IRGC, you can explain to them how things are going to be, then maybe we can work our way toward some sort of agreement that's going to finish this thing off.
Yeah, and I'm not sure what that looks like, Richard, because, again, this is a religion that they're ready to die for whatever it is that they believe. As long as they don't have a nuclear weapon and they don't have the capability of that for a long time, and we can somehow, because, again, they lobbed another something over at one of the ships yesterday, and it's like, we've got to get the strait open. So if we could figure that out, I kind of think we have the nuclear thing figured out, at least temporarily. There may be another decade, and then they'll have some capability, then you got to go back in again. I just think that's the way it's going to be when you talk about Iran. It's just going to be one of those, revolving doors where, okay, here's another decade, let's go in and bomb them so they don't have a nuclear weapon. I just don't know what the end of this is.
It may very well be the case, unless, of course, you're able to get some sort of regime change, which is going to be a difficult thing. I don't know if we're going to be able to make that happen, but that seems to me to be like the final answer, so to speak. Male Gen Zers have been dropping out of the labor pool in droves, and experts warn that the spread of artificial intelligence could accelerate the ugly trend. Last month, the U.S. employment rate, the percentage of Americans who are jobless and actively looking for work, dipped to 4.1%, its lowest level of the year, well below the 5.6% average since the end of World War II. But there's a grim corollary to this rosy-looking number. In July, the labor force shrank by more than 250,000 people versus a year earlier, hitting its lowest levels since the pandemic. What's going on there? Well, the share of men aged 16 to 24 participating in the labor market dipped to 56.1%, tumbling nearly 13 percentage points, according to data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Now, here's a question for you. Where are these people
Are they
going?
living in the basement, mom and dad's basement? What are they doing? You guys got to get going. You know what I'm saying? It's just like you've got to figure this out.
Mm-hmm.
You can't sit in the basement forever.
Yeah.
I mean, you got where's your income?
You're going to have to become a man, a manly man. I think maybe they're becoming democratic socialists.
Maybe.
They're just planning on the government keeping them.
Doling them out?
Yeah.
At some point, that's going to end.
That's the plan. Oh,
Yeah.
no question about it. College football's AP Top 25 is out. A lot of people unhappy with this one.
It's not pretty.
For a lot of people, it's not. Let's take a look at what we have here. Coming in at number 1, Ohio State. Oregon at number 2. Number 3, finally, we get to an SEC team, Georgia. Number 4 is Notre Dame. Number 5 is Texas. 6 is last year's champion, Indiana. Number 7 is Miami. Number 8, Texas A&M. Number 9, Ole Miss. Number 10, Oklahoma. Number 11, LSU. Number 12, Texas Tech. Number 13, lucky number 13, Alabama.
Wow, that's kind of low on the list there.
BYU, USC, Michigan, Washington, Penn State, SMU, Tennessee, Utah, Iowa, Houston, Louisville, and Mizzou, rounding out the list here. Interesting, of course, these are crap. The preseason top 25 means absolutely nothing. In fact, in this very same article from Outkick, they point out, remember something while you're digesting the initial 2026 rankings. 12 teams ranked in the preseason AP Top 25 last season finished outside the poll when the season concluded. 12. Those teams were Penn State, Clemson, LSU, Arizona State, Illinois, South Carolina, Florida, SMU, Kansas State, Iowa State, Tennessee, and Boise State. So, in other words, they get it really wrong a lot.
I think these last few years with NIL, it's making it even tougher because of all the movement within all these college teams. It's hard to, there's no, hey, we're building upon each year.
Nope.
It's very difficult to build upon each year when you got players moving all over the place.
Exactly.
So I don't know how again, kudos to you guys even being able to put a top 25 together. I don't know how you do that.
They used
a little
to
bit
say,
of a dart on the board there.
Pretty much. They used to say other teams rebuild, Alabama reloads. Now Alabama has to rebuild every year as well, just like everybody else, You got to come up with the money, and you got to come up with the great players that are going to do right for you, but maybe a few rule changes here and there will help stabilize things a little bit. All I really want is an interesting football season, and I got one last year, so
make it
we'll
fun,
see if we
make
get one
it
again this
interesting,
year.
make it exciting.
Yeah, man. It is 6:30. Dixon and Vining, Talk 99.5, talk995.com. Drop us a line, 545-9950, or download the app. You can text us from there.
6:35. It's Dixon and Vining at Talk 99.5. Talk995.com. We're happy you're with us on this Tuesday. Tuesday has no feel. Sometimes Tuesday has a little feel. Today it does have a little feel, and the feeling is hot. It's very, very, very warm. If you are north of the city of Birmingham or a little east or west, like Jasper, Pinson, places like that, y'all got some rain last night, the thunderstorms, and then I just kept looking at the radar going, come this way, and they dissipated. Even to the point we had some local networks that jumped on and started talking about the severe thunderstorm warnings. I was like, what?
Yep.
And I grabbed my phone and pulled up the radar, and I was like, oh, my word. I mean, it's like storming north of Birmingham.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Came down pretty
and
good.
then it got to about, I don't know, the Homewood area and about died.
Yeah.
It just petered out.
A little too far north for you.
Yeah, I guess
Sorry.
so. Oh, well. Maybe today. Maybe this weekend, because that's kind of what we're looking at.
Well, that'd be good.
The potential for some showers.
I could use a little rain.
Yeah, all could.
Parrot Structural Services, parrotss.com, 668-2626. When your foundation starts to go south, you need somebody who is going to be honest, on the up and up, treat you the way you want to be treated, fairly, 100%, and who's going to say, look, get a structural engineer if you don't trust us. We want you to be 100% certain with what it is we are telling you. And then they'll implement the fix, of course, whether that be helical piers or wall tiebacks, soil stabilization, slab jacking, whatever it is you need, they'll make it happen. They have all the cool tools, and they've been doing it forever. You want somebody who's been in this business for a long, long time. Mike, the top dog, better than 50 years business experience. That's Parrot Structural Services, parrotss.com, 668-2626, licensed, bonded, insured, and E-Verify compliant. You can now honestly ask, where's the beef, and mean it, because we are at our lowest level of cattle available literally in 70 years. 70 years. And what's happening now is they're closing some of these beef facilities. Tyson, for instance, is closing beef facilities in Illinois and Utah, and they're going to pursue the sale of another in Washington as it reshapes its beef business, because there's just not enough to keep those people busy. And if you don't have the beef coming in, then you really don't need to pay a bunch of people to stand around and not process it. Unfortunately, what that means is you're going to be shipping these cattle a lot farther. You know, if they're in Illinois, then you're going to be shipping them to a different a beef treatment facility, whatever you would call it, packaging facility, and consequently, it's going to cost money to get those cattle from point A to point B. You know, $50 a head, say, to get them moved from where you normally it would be nothing. It would be next to nothing to get them from the ranch where they are, there in the Midwest, to the facility that they were going to be going to in Illinois.
Yeah.
But now they have to go out to maybe California.
Yeah, and they've also talked about a little bit about drought conditions and some of the economics of that, and some of it persists, and they're like, you know, we've just had to sell some things off, and a lot of ranchers have done that. They said, you know, without enough feed and water to sustain their herds, they're like, okay, well, then what we need to do is try to sell these off and see if another farm wants them. And again, there's just been, it's like a slow reduction of cattle in the beef industry, and we keep looking, going, why are prices so high? Well, this is part of the problem. You go buy a filet or a ribeye or something like that, you're paying a whole lot more. Even, you know, a pound of ground beef, what it used to be and what it is now, is vastly different.
It's the law of supply and demand for starters. But also, like I said, when you add that extra cost of transportation, and given the fact that fuel prices remain higher than we'd like them to be, then, you know, a cow that should have cost X amount is now X plus 50, X plus 100 in order to get it from point A to point B and then run it through the processing facility. So, yeah, everything is going to be more expensive. And this may be something that forces a change in the American diet to a degree that we might not have anticipated. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. I think Americans probably do eat too much red meat. I do not. I eat very little red meat. It's pretty rare that I have a burger or
Or a steak.
tacos or steak. I mean, yeah, that is something. I think back on when I was growing up. My dad was a beef guy all the way, and we were having ground beef, or we were having roast, or we were having steak, or we were having something beefy, probably 5 out of 7 nights a week at my house. And that, the American child raised on beef as it should be. Not necessarily, a little white meat, a little fish, a little chicken, a little
fish is really good for you.
Yeah.
We've learned that over the years.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Probably could have used a little more of that in the Dixon household growing up. Maybe all 4 of the children wouldn't have a weight problem. If we'd maybe learned to enjoy some of the white meat for a while. But look, eventually, if you reduce the demand for beef simply because it does become very expensive, and you say, well, I can't afford this ground beef, I'm going to go get this ground chicken, or I'm going to get, maybe, we're going to go meatless for a couple of nights a week at the household. That's fine. Eventually the price will come down and the supply will increase as well, because, we're going to eventually find our way out of the weather pattern that we've been in. Don't freak out. It's not global warming. It's not, global climate change. It is global climate change, and that the climate changes all the time,
That's part of it.
We have times. Do you remember the 1990s when we had 2 back-to-back 500-year floods in the middle of the country?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the Mississippi overflowed its banks, and everybody who lived along the river, it was just crazy. St. Louis was out of control, and and at the end of the year, when it was done the first time, it was like, whew, I'm glad that's over. And the next year it happened again.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone was like, oh, come on. We were just in the process of rebuilding. What are you doing over here?
And here it comes again.
And here it comes again.
Yeah.
And then it hasn't happened since. Mm-hmm. And we were told at the time, well, that's global warming, and you can expect this to happen every year from
what
now
is this
on.
period of time
Exactly.
without the flooding?
Now we got super droughts.
Right.
Well, it's global climate change. Yes, of course it's global climate change. Climate changes. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Some years are going to be this, some years are going to be that. There's never going to be what one would hope to call a perfect year. I can't even imagine being a farmer in this day and age, or a rancher for that matter. And I understand now why so many have gotten out of it, and also why so much farming and ranching is being done by big corporations, because they can absorb the costs. They can absorb the hurt, they can absorb the problems when you have a drought like this, and the cattle, a small rancher is going to struggle with this a lot. Because you know what, that $50 that I'm talking about to move the cow from point A to point B that they didn't have to pay before, that's coming out of his share. Mm-hmm. They're going to pay him $50 less for the cow now, because it's going to cost him $50 to transport it across the country. You're not going to expect him to, Tyson's not going to take the hit on that. Tyson's going to hand that off to the rancher that they bought the cow from, guaranteed. So I understand now why we have so many corporations that are involved in this sort of thing, because, my goodness, if you were trying to be a family farmer and you had to, year in and year out, take a wild stab at what the weather was going to hand you this year.
No, thank you.
I couldn't even imagine.
Yeah, not just cattle, but those that farm, fresh vegetables and whatever else they do to get it to market. I just can't imagine that you're dependent on that. That's got to be difficult. Almost as difficult as somebody that's opening up a little restaurant for the first time and trying to keep that thing afloat with staff and prices and how you're going to do that.
Yikes.
And we know that because we talked to Will quite a bit about it. He was when you were out, he was filling in, and to hear some of just the price margins that he has to deal with, I'm like, I would not sleep at night. I really would. I'd have a difficult time with that. And that's why it's so important to support some of our local restaurants and businesses and farmers and everything else, because of what they have to deal with. It's not an easy life.
So a lot of tossing and turning involved in that. I'm betting you a lot of tossing and turning. It's a calling. You have to want to do it, and you have to be business savvy, which is something that a lot of people just don't get. So many folks say, "Oh, you're a great cook. You should open a restaurant." It's more than that.
It's thousands times more than that.
It's
He
way
even
more
talked
than that.
about how he has this $7.99 bag that
Yeah.
has a burger and has fries and has a drink.
Mhm.
It just everything's a little bit smaller.
Yeah.
And you know what? We can all afford to eat a little bit smaller and
Sure.
maybe save a little money. And he's like, I provided it's there. You don't have to get that. You could get one of the regular size burgers.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to cost a little bit more, but ground beef costs a lot. So, he's figured out ways to kind of narrow the margins there with helping people to make decisions. If they can't afford a more expensive burger, you can get the combo meal. You'll get the same delicious flavor and the same delicious everything that's about Chub Fathers, but you're paying a little bit
Get less of it.
You get a little bit less of it, and you know that going into it.
Is there a toy in the bag?
I don't know. There should be.
They should put a toy in
I don't know.
I need there to be some
I think
sort
there's enough joy just going into Chub Fathers. You don't need a toy.
of, I don't know. I've been trained to expect a toy.
He'll come up with something.
It's not a Happy Meal. It's an ennui meal.
Oh yeah.
Ennui. You're kind of like, oh, okay. 647 with Dixon and Vining at Talk 99.5. Buc-ee's is expanding into other states. Stick around. Oh. If Beethoven could have heard this, he'd be rolling over in his grave, I think.
I think he'd be pretty happy to sign the royalty checks then.
Fortunately, he's deaf. So even in deadness, he can't hear.
Listen to all those violins. Come on, everyone.
652 Dixon and Vining, Talk 995, talk995.com. 13 hours of live and local programming every weekday. I don't want to brag, but my clothes are cleaner than yours are. And my dishes are shinier and sparkly. And everything I clean gets a little bit cleaner, and everything I cook tastes a little bit better. My coffee is better, my tea is better, my lemonade is better. I'd love to take credit for this, but actually, all I did was make sure Aqua Systems installed a whole home system in my house. That's all I did. And when they took out the hardness, they took out the chemicals, they took out the chlorine in my water right there at my home, man, what a difference it makes. You know, even if, and we don't, but even if we had fantastic water coming out of the Central Alabama Waterworks, even if we had fantastic water coming out of there, it's traveling through pipes that are in some cases 100 years old, traveling underneath the city. Imagine what that water is picking up on the way to your house. And now when it gets to my house, it gets cleared, it gets cleaned, it's perfect. It's H2O. It's perfect in every way, and you can have that as well. All it is a zero down, as little as $60 a month for a whole home system. You can do 12 months, same as cash. Get in touch with Aqua Systems and get a no-obligation demonstration and start improving your life today. 383-3999, 383-3999. Find them online at iwantgreatwater.com, iwantgreatwater.com. We are looking at Buc-ee's opening up in Arkansas for the first time.
Well, isn't Arkansas lucky?
They're expanding across the U.S. Buc-ee's is going to take over.
Yesterday they opened?
I don't know. How big is this one? 120 fueling positions.
Sounds like ours.
74,000 square feet, creating more than 200 jobs. You know, last time I was driving by Buc-ee's, I was on my way out to Talladega. I was doing the Maverick Lounge series, emceeing Job, the narration on their John Lennon show. And I was like, okay, I'm going to be on 20 anyway. I'll just swing through Buc-ee's and I'll get some gasoline. Well, it was absolute mayhem. I had never, ever, ever seen that place that full. And I thought, well, it's a Friday afternoon.
Yeah,
you know, I've never
that's
really
part of it.
done this at this time of day on this day, so this explains a lot. But I found something out. And that was I drove all the way down to the very end of the row of pumps. There's a whole nother section way back there. Nobody there.
They wanted the front ones.
I
They
guess.
want to be by the doors.
I think, well, everybody
I
pulls
get
in
away
there.
from the shenanigans.
I mean, I wasn't going in.
Shenanigans!
I had no point in going in. I wasn't going to even try to fight that crowd, and I needed to get to where I was going. So I just drove all the way down there to the end. I was like, okay, this is my new place now. This is where we gas up from now on at Buc-ee's. The far end, now I just gave you the secret, so now it's going to be packed, I guess. Stupid me. What was I thinking?
Well, people just, when they pull up, what is the closest, the easiest? They don't want the one that's, a little further drive down the parking lot.
Yeah.
You're like, no big deal. You get away from everybody.
Okay, normally I am a back-of-the-lot parker as well, but in this weather, not so much. I mean, there usually is a time, and when the high temperature starts to get down to a more reasonable, 87, we'll call it.
You don't want to sweat from the car to inside Buc-ee's? You can go in there and get cooled off and get a cold drink.
Or anywhere. I mean, I'll do this at Walmart. I'll park at the back end of the lot in Walmart. My reasoning is, A, nobody else wants to do that. They're all driving around looking for a place that's much closer. And B, I can always use the walk.
Yeah, I can always use the exercise.
It's not like I
don't mind.
Couldn't take off a pound or two here. So, but yeah, in this weather, no, I can't even breathe. I mean, it's crazy. It's like breathing through wet felt when you walk outside.
It's very much like that.
Yesterday afternoon was rough, man. It was absolutely brutal. Speaking of fat, we have some lovely samples here that we're going to be trying today. Are these all new things, Steve? The Snickerdoodle cream pie with
is this
cinnamon
an
and sugar?
original?
Snickerdoodle is something that's been around for a little while. From what I understand, I didn't try that last night. The other two, I believe, are new. You've got the oatmeal cream pie with the pumpkin spice in the middle.
Oh, that's this.
That's that.
Oh,
And
because
then
that's why it's orange in there.
the other one is the fudge round that is done like the oatmeal cream pie that we were talking about.
Okay.
And then in the little white bag right there that you see, we have the
Beer
what are
cheese
those?
soup.
Cheez-Its. Yeah, Cheez-Its
Cheez-Its.
with the beer cheese.
Beer cheese. I'm so afraid of those.
Who are
Yeah.
they tied in with? On that
Coors
one?
Light.
Coors Light. That's
Yeah.
right. Okay. Well, we'll be sampling those coming up in the next hour. See how they go. But
That's
hey,
gonna be. That might be. This one's gonna be trouble for me.
Mm.
The pumpkin, and those Cheez-Its could be trouble for me.
I am going to take the smallest possible bite of each of the
Mm-hmm.
sugary things because what I remember about Little Debbie is that they are insipidly sweet,
Very.
more so than even Hostess.
Yep.
It's their thing. It's what they do. It's what they specialize
And they're
in.
delicious.
That's okay.
They're usually delicious.
I can't take the diabetes, man.
Mm.
I cannot take the diabetes. Let's take a look at some texts, shall we? Jerry, the angry trucker.
Wow, he's got a long message.
Good morning, all. Hope you have a great day. You would have thought that the United States would learn from its past wars with a society that embraces death over surrender or surrendering their belief system. It took hundreds of years and the near total destruction of as a race to defeat the Native Americans. In order to defeat the Japanese, we had to kill tens of thousands of men, women, and children to finally conquer them. What I'm saying is, in order to defeat these Muslim countries that we choose to wage war against, it's going to have to be complete and total warfare to the point of near total destruction of their system and way of thinking. Otherwise, we're just whizzing,
don't say
whizzing
that.
in the wind. Yeah.
Thanks for that, angry trucker.
Well, he's not wrong. The Japanese were particularly difficult to beat because they honestly believed that their emperor was a deity. I mean, this is something that people don't understand, and you think about World War II, still relatively recent, you know? I mean, it was 20th century, but it ended in 1945, 46, right? There were people in Japan who honestly believed that their emperor was at least partly a god. And so they were going to fight to the death
end.
for their god. And eventually, you know, he had to go on after the surrender and everything. He had to go out and go on the radio and say, I'm not a god. I'm just a man just like you, you know. But he had certainly sustained that myth throughout the course of all of this. And I don't know. I can't say that that's the case with the Native Americans because the Native Americans they weren't one entity. They were lots of different little tribes. Some of them were larger than others, obviously, but they're getting their revenge at the casino table. So,
Is that where it's happening? That's where the revenge is happening.
Chief Pit Boss.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, when it comes to Islam, it is very, very difficult to beat a group of people who don't fear death because they think they're going to Allah. Now, here's what they do fear: pain. Ask Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, the guy that we tortured endlessly to find out what were the next plans when it came to 9/11 style attacks on the United States. We got lots of information out of him because while he didn't fear death, he really hated being waterboarded.